So obviously you've been here a month now. Just before we get started on other questions, I wanted to ask you once again how you pronounce your name. I've heard it in a bunch of different versions over the time. So
as long as I can recognize it, you're good with it. Moez, that's the easy part. Limayem, some people would say Limayem. That's both is fine. My father would say Limayem.
Okay, awesome. All right, so obviously, as I said before, you've been here for a month. Your schedule has been crazy. What would you say is your favorite moment over the past month?
You know, it's really difficult to single out one moment to say that was the best. I would say there were many great moments. First of all, starting with graduation was just an incredible experience for me to do it for the very first time, my very first week here. It was very special to see students and their parents and their families ending a great journey and being happy and having spent a great experience at UNF. So that was one of the highlights. The other highlights were speaking to students and welcoming the freshmen, welcoming back the returning students and walking around campus, shaking hands and introducing myself and just seeing the big smile on our students, also our faculty or staff. That was a great moment. Other great moment, probably speaking downtown for leaders of our communities and businessmen and businesswomen. So it is hard. I would say the first month has been very special, really special.
Awesome. So as far as moments, you said speaking to students, I saw some photos of you yesterday out talking to the rugby team, I think it was, on the green.
Yes.
Would you say is your plan to bridge that gap with students and really get close to students?
Yeah, it is. It's very clear that we're here because of students. Students are our raison d'etre. And one of the things I really admire about UNF, and one of the reasons I'm here at UNF, is that the culture of student success. And people really do care about students here. Yeah. Students are at the heart of the discussions, at the heart of the priorities, and you can feel it. You can really feel it. So I would say it will continue to be a top priority for us. And what does it mean? Student success means giving our students the best possible educational experience from enrollment to employment. Means that when they come to UNF, they stay at UNF, they succeed at UNF, and we prepare them very well for that great career at graduation or very shortly after at a competitive salary or for graduate school. So that is and will always be a top priority for UNF.
So going further than students, this semester we're having arguably the largest class, freshman class in UNF history. So you, in your interview, you talked a lot about how we shouldn't grow for the sake of growing. Yes. Do you see this as growing healthily, or what's the end goal for growing?
Yeah, the end goal is of course to grow strategically, to grow well, and not again growing just increasing numbers for the sake of increasing numbers. I don't think it's right to increase the numbers of incoming students if we don't have the right infrastructure for them. And the infrastructure is physical, but also human. Infrastructures, advisors, faculty, staff, mental health, athletics. So I think it is a very complex and complicated decision to growth, because you want to absolutely grow to meet the demands of our great region, the Jacksonville region, but we want to do it right in areas that also are in high demand by the community. So these are the decisions that we are thinking about now. These are the discussions, the strategic discussions that we are having, and trying to bring more resources to UNF so that we can not just grow, but also when we admit a higher number of students, we set them up for success. We just don't want to admit students knowing that we don't have the right infrastructure. Just to give you an idea, if you look at the growth of the Jacksonville region, and UNF should be at around 30,000 students. We are now at about 17,000. So we have a lot of room to cover, and we have to play a little bit of catch up, but we want to do it right.
Mm-hmm. So obviously growing, there's a lot of issues that come with growing. You spoke a little bit about that physical and also human, but speaking to the physical side, I know one of the big problems right now is housing and also parking. Is there any plan in your plan or your university's plan to address housing concerns and parking concerns on campus for students?
Absolutely. So yes, that you can imagine, that was one of the very first challenges that I had to face very earlier in, and parents were not happy, and justifiably so. Let me talk a little bit about this. I think it is a little bit unfortunate that several of our students couldn't find housing. This is not unique to UNF. This is a problem, national problems. Why? First of all, the rent prices of campus everywhere in the country has just skyrocketed. So a lot of students who usually will spend a year here or 2 years and go live off campus, they cannot afford that anymore. You couple that with the increase in enrollment, and we can only have a policy of first come, first served. So that's why, and the majority of the wait list actually applied the last 28 days before the class started. So they probably started a little bit late. Yes, as we speak, we are working on short-term solutions for spring, and even for this fall, we try to help our students on the waiting list as much as possible. So we had resources for them, and each one of the students on the waiting list was called and was informed of possibilities of campus. We also negotiated with the hotel a more favorable rates, and also transportations through the university transit system. But for we're looking as we speak for spring to make sure we have also other possibilities. We're trying to negotiate with some rental companies around campus. Also, it is our plan to build 800 dorms with 800 beds. So that's really, we're working on it, and we're doing everything we can to start as soon as possible. Of course, as a state university, there is a process that we have to go through. We're going through the process, but I can assure you this is a top priority for us, and we will have it. It will take a little bit of time, but we will have that building.
Yeah, so one of the things that happened before you being president was we were given a bunch more acres of land. Is there any plan to use those acres to have housing, have parking, or will we leave it for the nature?
Yeah, again, this is an incredible advantage for UNF. We have room to grow. Most of other universities don't. Even if they wanted to, they can't. At UNF, we have the room to grow, but we want to use that land in the most responsible way, so that it makes sense for us to build on that land. And we will never build anything without the necessary consultation for different stakeholders, the necessary feasibility analysis to make sure that it makes sense for UNF and its present and its future, the students that were here, the faculty and staff, that it makes sense for us to build something. So yes, we have many ideas, but each idea will be studied in depth to make sure that we're making the right decisions and we're not jeopardizing in any way, shape, or form the future of UNF.
Yeah, so walking it back a little to, so obviously there's multiple facets of community at UNF. We have students, we have faculty. I was at the faculty town hall meeting a couple weeks ago before the semester started, and you spoke about House Bill 7. Obviously, that was one of your first challenges with faculty and solidifying that relationship. What's the plan to strengthen that relationship in the future?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked this question. Just yesterday, I had my very first faculty association meeting, and I started by thanking faculty for the incredible role they play at this university, and also to tell them that I consider myself one of them. I started my academic life as a teaching assistant, assistant professor, associate professor, full professor, department chair, associate dean. So I've seen it all. I really understand that role, and I feel the pain. I know the challenges, but also I know the opportunities. So the first thing that I really wanted our faculty to know is how grateful we are for them, despite the lack of resources and the incredible loyalty and passion they show for this institution, and also the energy they put in taking care of our students. So that was really important for me to establish that fact, but also as very transparent with them that UNF as a university is fundamentally underfunded, and my role is to with the team is as much as possible to bring more resources. We can bring it as with the legislative budget request that we are working really hard, and we had a very ambitious one on the table now by revamping our effort for fundraising and philanthropy, but also by being more entrepreneurial and more innovative. You probably heard me say at UNF, failure will be an option as long as we fail fast and forward. If we're not failing, means we're not being entrepreneurial and innovative enough, and we consider failure not as the opposite of success, but more as part of success. So by tackling the resource issue with these three main approaches, I think we can alleviate it. We will always have miles and gaps to fill, but I'm very optimistic with the work of everyone that we will eventually find more resources. So this was with the faculty, and you've heard me also say it for HB7. First of all, we have no other option but to obey by the laws. We don't make the laws, and we have an obligation to respect the laws. There are different ways you can change the laws, by vote and other things, but once the law passes, we have no other option but to obey by it and respect it. However, what I'm also noticing is there are a lot of misconceptions about House Bill 7, and our role is to really raise the awareness of what is the essence of HB 7. And again, I'm not endorsing HB 7, I'm not against HB 7, I'm just explaining the facts. The facts that HB 7 lists several topics that if they were to be taught in the classroom, it has to be done in an objective manner and without specific endorsement by the faculty member. But when you think about it, that really makes sense. Why? Because we, as educator, we should be teaching students how to think, but not what to think. For any of these emotionally charged, controversial topics, I don't think it's our job to say, this is the truth, this is what I believe in, and this is what you should be believing in. But it is our obligation to expose the different points of view in a very objective manner, not to endorse any one of them, but let the students discuss and decide what is their point of view. And that's, for me, the essence of critical thinking. That's what we should be doing. So there's a lot of awareness, a lot of communication, a lot of discussions, and also we are committing to our students. They are worried. Like, well, what if we can get falsely accused of not following the HB 7? Say, of course, like any other law, we will have a process to deal with the complaints. Process that hopefully will be objective and transparent. And if we found that anyone is falsely accused, we are committed to defending our faculty. That's the commitment that we have.
So as far as for defending faculty or not, is there any plan by UNF to differentiate if someone is in violation of House Bill 7, will they be fired? Is it incorporating back into the fold? Is there any specific plan to deal with that kind of situation?
Actually, even the laws and the Board of Governors policy highlight with the process. The process is it calls for remedial actions and trying to work with the faculty member to make sure that, because sometimes, yes, we might unintentionally express a point of view that is personal. That happens. We're human, right? And we will make sure that we will work with the faculty members or with the staff members or with the students sometimes to make sure that they know and that they are educated so that is not repeated. But also in case where things are repeated, then, what we say is once is a mistake, twice is a mistake, and 3 times is probably intentional. And then if the university, the law is very clear, if the university does not deal with it, we run the risk to lose our funding. So everything is highlighted in the law. So all we're going to do is obey by the law and making sure we educate everyone, we raise the awareness, but also respect the law, and making sure that we treat people with the utmost respect, and everyone is innocent until proven otherwise.
Exactly. So backing up or moving forward to another topic,
Yeah.
in your interview you talked about how it's not our vision, it's not your vision, it's our vision.
Absolutely.
You spent the last month, you sent an email yesterday listening and hitting the ground listening and talking
Absolutely.
to leaders. What is our vision?
Yeah, again, it's too soon, but in my email yesterday, updating our wonderful stakeholders, internal, sectional, faculty, staff, and students about my first month, I identified that we already have goals for the year. These short-term goals, and one of the goals actually is to kick off what I call probably strategic renewal or rethinking a little bit our strategic plan. I think there's a lot of great work that has been already done in terms of strategic priorities, and I believe we can use that as a starting point so that we can all together shape a really an interesting vision that we're very proud of. I can give you probably a high level vision based on what I've been hearing, and that vision is to make UNF a preferred destination for students from all over the country, the state, the country, and why not the world, for students in high numbers, achievement, and diversity, preferred destinations for employers. I want employers to come here first before they go anywhere else. Once they are done with getting their talent from UNF, yes, it's okay to go somewhere else. I also want us to be a great destination for faculty and staff, the brightest and the best, so that they stay here, but also we attract the best and the brightest. Preferred destinations and target for philanthropists and donors, so because we give them the best return on investment. So that's what, at a high level, what we will be doing is together developing more specific, measurable goals, but also strategies and tactics that will get us there with these different stakeholders.
So you mentioned diversity in that explanation, and what do you define diversity as? I mean, there's also obviously diversity of people, diversity of thought. What do you see diversity in UNF?
Yeah, I really believe, and that's diversity is a multifaceted. It is true. Ethnic, racial diversity is important. Gender diversity is important. Sexual orientation is important. Disability is important. Geographic is important, but also the diversity of thoughts is important. So one of the visions that is emerging: why can't UNF be the best in the world, where it is the safest platform for people for diverse people, it doesn't matter where they are coming from, who they are, to feel welcome, to feel safe, where they can discuss their ideas, beliefs, even if they're not commonly agreed upon, in a very safe environment where they can do it in total respect, in a civil way, but also they can come here and succeed regardless of who they are. I am just amazed already when I walk around campus to see diversity in our students' body. It's really refreshing. And I think it's, when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the belonging is also a big part of it. We're not there yet, to be honest, and we probably never be there. And that's the way it should be. It's more of a journey. One thing for sure, our approach is to really listen to different minority groups as defined very globally, and make sure we make the changes that we can make.
Okay, so obviously one of the things that come to mind when you think diversity is international students. And you as an international student or as an international person, what role do you see international studies and international people playing at this university?
Yes, that's a great question. And I'm sure you know that is a really an important topic for me personally, given my background. Several years ago, I was an international student. I had a chance, and I'm living the American dream. I think international students add and contribute so much to a university, a great university like UNF. I think we can do more and better. Imagine a classroom where everybody dresses the same, looks the same, thinks the same. What a boring classroom is that? So minorities will add to the richness of experience, and also international students. Think of it as the most cost-effective for our students to travel all over the world, because you can know so much about a country by talking and making friends from that country. So you will see us in the next few years revamping our global impact and our global literacy. We would strengthen our study abroad programs. We will also strengthen our recruiting effort from bright and great students from all over the country. I mean, the world. Look at our campus. It's just one of the most beautiful campuses, and I think it should be a great destination for international students. But we'll not stop there. I think we should make sure that our curriculum reflects the global nature of the economy, the global nature of our country, and the current events. When our students graduate, they will not be working uniquely with the students from the Jacksonville region. They might not even be from the state of Florida or the U.S. They could be working from people from all over the world, and I think having that, a lot of people talk about emotional intelligence, now they talk about cultural intelligence, is just very rich and make us better people. One of the, I think, things that I'm most proud of is having lived, studied, or worked, or in 4 different continents. And I really think I am a better person and I am a better leader because of these experiences. And I see it even with our kids, their capacity to adapt, their capacity to meet new people, to understand other cultures is significant compared to others who've never been faced to that cultural diversity.
Now, in terms of growing, obviously there's different avenues to take for that. So international students don't just pertain to abroad, they also pertain to out of state. Do you see out of state students as a vital resource to incorporate into UNF?
Absolutely, absolutely. The state of Florida wants the SUS, our 12 universities, to average to about 10% of out-of-state and international students in percentages of their total enrollment. We're very, very low. One of the lowest. We're around 3%. It goes ups and downs depending on the semester. So we have a lot of rooms to go, and our plan is to absolutely do that for the reasons that we just talked about. I think it really makes the educational experience for all our students much richer when they are exposed to other cultures from other states or from other countries. A lot of our students, when we talk about 3,000 plus freshmen, more than 1/3 of them are first-generation college students, so no one in their immediate family has a college degree. Many of them have not been even significantly out of state, not even, of course, traveling abroad, so being exposed to other people that come from different places, I think is a great experience for everyone.
Yeah, in terms of, jumping back from that topic, relationships with presidents. I mean, presidents has such a high and mighty role over UNF, representing the university, and there's obviously conflict that comes with that. How do you handle conflict? How do you find peace in the middle of all these wild things that happen?
Conflicts are a fact of life. Our role as leader of a great university like this is really not to jump to conclusions. I see myself as the facilitator, mediator of these conflicts. From my own experience, more than 80% of conflicts are just due to miscommunications. My view on conflicts, and I am lucky because throughout the years I taught conflict resolutions and I taught negotiation. So I think the first step is just try to listen and understand what's going on. In many instances, as I said, it's communications, but also try to tackle it from both sides of the conflict. Try to understand why a certain party is behaving the way they're behaving or acting or asking for what they, and make sure the two parties also understand each other's point of view. And I can assure you a lot of problems can be solved. And if it's not, then our role as leaders is to be fair, transparent, but also protect the interest of our institutions. We're the last line of defense, so we have to protect our institutions. We have to protect our students and faculty and staff. And when it's time to make decisions, even the tough ones, we have to make these tough decisions.
And you mentioned transparency. Some of the previous administrations have been known to establish a guard at the top of the president's office. Are you planning on keeping the president's office open and aware, like a glass wall, to students, to faculty, and staff on campus?
Absolutely. You will never see me put a guard. And I'm not really, I don't mean to have any judgment on maybe other people did it, other leaders for different reasons, but you will not see me with them putting a guard here. My approach is, of course, always be accessible and be open. It is true that my scarcest resource is my time, so we have to be just mindful because of the how best we use my time for the institutions, and there are also sometimes a chain of command that we need to respect. But I can assure you that I wake up every morning before everyone at home, because I want to make sure that I answer all the emails that are coming from students and their parents and the faculty, their questions or they have concerns, and we'll continue doing that. It's a team effort. I cannot do everything by myself, so if it is necessary and required and one of our students wants to see me, that's my joy. That's the best thing I really like. So, and I'm not also sitting in my office expecting students to come here. You will see me walking around campus and shaking hands and asking people how they are and inviting them to send me emails if I can help them. And the same thing. So it will be a very accessible office and positions, and of course within reasons again, because time is of essence. And but I'm not the person who can operate effectively, efficiently in an ivory tower. That's not my style.
Mm-hmm. So one of your main hiring points, at least for the BOT Board of Trustees, was your connections business-wise. Yes. Do you foresee, one of the things you did at USF was bringing a ton of donations and millions of dollars to the business college. Do you foresee that happening here?
Absolutely. We're going to do even better. Absolutely. That's the plan. That's really the plan. And I already have met incredible donors, trying to show them the passion that we have and how grateful we are for their generosity, and hopefully they will come back and give us more. But also I've started meeting business leaders to strengthen existing partnerships and also forge new ones and develop new ones. So yes, that's a big part of my job, but I also enjoy it. It's not just a job for me, and I enjoyed it in the past. It's a team effort, it's a team sport, so I was not the only one who brought a lot of money to the MUMA Kanjo business, and I will not be the only one bringing a lot of resources to UNF, but I can assure you that I will play a major role, and I will help the team and work with the team and make sure that going back to that high-level vision, we are a magnet and a preferred destinations for philanthropy and for partnerships.
Now, one of my last question here is, obviously we're celebrating UNF's 50th anniversary, half a century of this university being here in Jacksonville. What do you foresee in UNF's future, the next 10 years, the next 50 years, and what do you think your legacy will be at this university?
Yeah, and again, I think would love my legacy to be that when kids from the very early years of their lives, 3, 4, 5, they start dreaming of going to UNF. When parents have a baby or adopt a baby, their first discussion is like, we're going to work really hard and help our kid come to UNF. That's my dream, that's my legacy, and providing a safe environment that is enjoyable, productive for our students, faculty, and staff, wherever you go in the country, people will be speaking about UNF in a good way as a model to follow in everything we do, and especially in how we take good care of our students and how we make them successful. That's hopefully will be my legacy.
Sounds great. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for meeting us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Great questions.
Thank you.
Very good. I'm really pleased.